One of my favourite Game of Thrones characters, Doran Martell, he is scheming to bring House Lannister to its knees to avenge the murder of his sister Elia Martell and her children during the sack of King's Landing. Doran admits to his daughter Arianne Martell that he desires vengeance, justice, and fire and blood. But he also says, I only play such games as I can win. He is a cautious man biding his time. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a long video. Tywin Lannister didn't order the deaths of Elia and her children, but he didn't stop it either. What happened to Elia and the way it happened and what happened to her children, because they believed the kids, they were killed too. More on that later. What happened? It was a knife through Doran's heart, through Oberyn's heart. That was their little sister. But after Robert's rebellion, the political landscape in Westeros changed pretty much overnight, and Doran, as per his nature, was going to tread very carefully. Doran is like, we need to make people think that everything is okay, but really, something is up. The first part of his plan is to convince the crown that Dorne will not be a problem. Oberyn was causing a bit of a fuss, and Robert Baratheon sent Hand of the King Jon Arryn to Dorne to calm the Martells down, to bring them into the fold. But Jon Arryn returns and says to Robert Baratheon, it's okay, I pulled it off, they're not going to be a problem. So the first part of Doran's plan worked to perfection. The crown don't suspect anything. You've pulled the wool over their eyes. The second part of the plan takes place 1 year after Robert Baratheon becomes king. Oberyn goes to Essos, where Viserys and Daenerys Targaryen are living. He arranges the marriage of his niece, Doran's daughter Arianne Martell, to Viserys Targaryen to keep these two houses allied. The Martells had chosen to remain loyal to House Targaryen after everything that had happened. The question is, why is Doran Martell doing this in the first place? Because Oberyn would not have gone without Doran's approval. Oberyn is the wildcard sibling, but Doran Martell, he's the brains in the family. Doran Martell was biding his time, not raising suspicions. He played into his physical disability. He allowed people to think he was not a threat. He did this because he had to play it so carefully. The Lannisters were now married into the Baratheon family. They were all kind of in cahoots with the Aarons and the Starks. The Tyrells had bent the knee. The whole realm was united. Dorne would be on an island. They couldn't guarantee the numbers to risk open confrontation with the Lannisters on the battlefield. So instead the plan was Viserys Targaryen would be married into House Martell. He would return and he would stake his claim for the Iron Throne. And he'll probably have an army of Dothraki warriors by his side because he's going to marry his sister off as well. And if you're going to cross into Westeros from Essos, the shortest sea crossing would be down by Dorne. And they'd have been welcomed with open arms. The problem is, Viserys winds up getting himself killed. Doran eventually clues in Arianne on all of this stuff. Arianne is none the wiser to what her father has been up to. She thinks, my dad doesn't trust me, he doesn't let me in on anything. He's pulled the wool over everyone, including his own daughter. She would know him better than anyone. He says to his daughter, we princes make our careful plans, and the gods smash them all awry. Oh, this is in A Feast for Crows, by the way. Doran is referring to the molten pot of gold and what happened to Viserys, and that Arianne would not be marrying him. He says, we've got to pivot. And he brings up one of his sons, Quentyn Martell. He says to Arianne, your brother Quentyn has a harder road to walk. And Arianne literally says, what road? What are you holding back? 7 save me, but I am sick of the secrets. Tell me the rest, father. She's begging her father, clue me in. I want to know what's going on. Enough with the secrets. So Doran informs Arianne that the newest iteration of their plan is for Quentyn to go to Daenerys in Essos and reunite that old alliance between Targaryen and Martell. Now Quentyn does arrive in Meereen. He meets Daenerys. She's not too impressed, however. She's like, kid, go home. And Daenerys throws a spanner in the works even more because Doran expected Daenerys would want to return to Westeros, that she would seize this opportunity, but she does not. Daenerys chooses to remain in Slaver's Bay. She's like, I've got more work to do here. She's not ready to just up sticks and leave for her own betterment. She's like, no, I've committed to the people here. Let me see this task through to the end. I'm not abandoning them in the middle of it all. So that's a problem for Doran. Then he gets word of this kid, young Griff, and they're saying he is really Doran's nephew, Elya's son, Aegon Targaryen, who survived the sack of King's Landing, that he was spirited away and he's been hidden away all this time to keep him safe. But he's back and he wants what's his. Now Doran is like, what are the chances? He doesn't assume that this kid is who he says he is. He's like, I'm going to send someone to check, to verify. Doran is all about not putting his eggs all in one basket. And he doesn't want to raise suspicions. He's worked too hard to screw it all up now. So Doran sends Arianne to go and check out young Griff, see if he's the real deal. But that's not the only plan that Doran has on the go. He's got plans involving the Sand Snakes, the daughters of Doran Martell. He's got one at the Citadel in disguise. He's got one about to take up a seat in the small council in King's Landing. He's putting his allies where he needs them. Plus, Doran had already arranged with Tyrion Lannister for Myrcella Baratheon to marry his youngest son, Trystane Martell. And Doran wants them two to rule one day. But for that to happen, you either have to have enough numbers to rise up an open rebellion and take down the Lannisters, or you go about it some other way, a more underhand way. People fear the Lannisters. They don't like them, but they're not stupid enough to openly rebel against them. Tywin's reputation kept people in check. So open rebellion against the Lannisters, that was not likely. But picking them off one by one and clearing the path for one of your own to sit on the throne and for the children of Trystane and Myrcella, little Martell babies, to one day follow suit. That is more Doran Martell's style. He won't risk Dawn needlessly. He's had to bite his tongue all this time. Remember how awkward it was when Oberyn Martell attended the Purple Wedding, when he was sparring with Tywin and Cersei? Oh, the tension! These people do not like each other. Doran is in charge of the Martell's operation and he is towing a very fine line. He's working away diligently, but he can't erase suspicion. And the question is, has Doran missed his opportunity? I'm all for biding your time, but what if he's waited too long? Doran says the blood oranges are well past ripe. They're falling to the ground and going splat. These are soiled, rotted fruit. There is speculation that this could be a metaphor for Doran taking too long to put his plans into action. That by waiting too long, the plan falls through, the fruit becomes rotten. Maybe it's all a fool's errand. Maybe you've missed your chance. But Varys has just done Doran Martell a huge favour. He's just gotten rid of Kevan Lannister and Pycelle. He's further destabilising the Lannisters. Cersei has just done her Walk of Atonement. She's not really thinking clearly. She's all about how can I get revenge for what was done to me. She's not thinking about the bigger picture. The Lannisters are weak right now. So Doran can thank Varys for that. And interestingly, these two, their paths are now starting to converge. And it's all centred on young Griff. But is he rotted fruit? Is he the real deal or is he an imposter? And even if he is the real deal, will his plan succeed? Those are the kind of things that Doran Martell is asking himself right now. He can't screw it up. Not now. Not at the final moment. He has to get justice for Elia. But does he believe that this is really her son? Does he want to believe it? I'm sure. But Doran can't take unnecessary risks. That's where things stand. We're literally on the edge of a cliff. We don't know what happens next. Can Doran pull off this scheme? Will he succeed? Will he get vengeance? Or will he become rotted fruit?